Hey, people. How's it going today? This 19th of February 2026. Things are going all right for me. Just chilling out. Having a nice. What is it now? Pardon me. What is it now? Thursday? Yes, Thursday. Definitely didn't think it was Wednesday. Not at all. The fires of hell. That's right, Dustin. The fires of hell. How's it going, buddy? So, I've had a few different people sending me messages telling me, Aiden, you check out Missing Maud's show? You see what she's saying? Hey, Aiden, what do you think about what Missing Maud is saying over on her show? And to that, I say, who gives a fuck? Honestly, who gives a shit? Anyway, with that being said, let's get dislike stream. Thank you, Odin. I appreciate it. But with that being said, let's get into our first segment of the day. It's always our first segment. And you know, Dustin, I know you're out there watching right now. Look, man, it's good to get it out of the way at the very beginning, isn't it? If you get it out of the way, it's kind of like when you're eating dinner, right? You're eating dinner and you got a big old plate of Brussels sprouts. It's probably how you view the Trump without Trump. I don't know. Maybe you like Brussels sprouts. Who knows? That's like the stereotypical 90s vegetable, though, isn't it? That like everybody is commonly thought to hate. So yeah, the Trump without Trump segment, it's like a plate of Brussels sprouts right in front of you. But at the same time, it's good to get that out of the way, right? Because after those Brussels sprouts, you got the juicy steak, known as the open panel, waiting for you on the other side. Oh, come on, Dustin, don't be that way. No! Don't be that way, Dustin. Come on now. Come on, that's not fair. That's not fair. Anyways, with that being said, let's get into our first segment, ladies and gentlemen. If I can find it. There we go. It's not in order. You know what? All right. Quick pit stop for the people watching right now. Sorry about this, ladies and gentlemen. But I have all of my tabs ordered ahead of time, right? In the rare occasions where I have a chance, I'm on 2 live streams at the same time. Neat. Hey, Barrius Slack. Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you, Frank. Hope everybody out there in the side chat is doing well so far today. But yeah, I have everything ordered, right? I have all my tabs for everything I'm supposed to do my show with in a specific order. And I kind of do that naively with the hope that when I go on and actually do my fucking show, it'll actually be in the right order. But it's not. It never is. I really don't know why I do that. I guess maybe because I'm used to StreamYard still. And I will say that's one of the features that StreamYard did have that is way better, right? In StreamYard, you can have all of your stuff in a specific order ahead of time. And I'm pretty sure that order will reflect in the share screen function over there. Not on Restream, though. Not on Restream. Thank you so much, Restream. It is free. I guess you do get what you pay for, don't you? It's a good lesson for life in general. Anyways, let's play Trump without Trump.
Without Trump, you won't have to listen to his voice. It's Trump without Trump. You won't have to listen to his voice or see his face. This quote is unedited and 100% accurate. This is from the annual White House turkey pardon on November 25th, 2025. These are the words of the President of the United States of America. Further, I wanted to make an important announcement Because you remember last year, after a thorough and very rigorous investigation by Pam Bondi and all of the people at the Department of Justice, the FBI, the CIA, and the White House Counsel's Office, and the Department of Everything, we have the Department of Everything. You know what that is? I think it's called the White House. Into a terrible situation caused by a man called Sleepy Joe Biden.
Sleepy
He
Joe.
used an auto pen last year for the turkey's pardon. So I have the official duty to determine, and I have determined, that last year's turkey pardons are totally invalid, as are the pardons of about every other person that was pardoned. And other than, where's Hunter? You know Hunter's was good. That was the one pardon, Pam, that was good. Right, the rest of them were all invalid. I don't know what the hell we're going to do about that, but now we're going to have to a little bit of the joking. That was a mess. They're hereby null and void. The turkeys, known as Peach and Blossom, last year have been located, and they were on their way to be processed. In other words, to be killed. But I have stopped that journey, and I am officially pardoning them, and they will not be served for Thanksgiving dinner. We saved them in the nick of time. This one has plenty of time, but they were saved in the nick of time. Donald J. Trump.
This fucking guy. I swear to God, man. I swear to God. Every single moment of this man's life is lived in contrast. I get it. You know what? I get it. I do. Dustin, I'm sorry, bro. I really am. I am genuinely sorry that I've been, like, throwing all these things at you as far as, like, oh, man, you always say that, you know, these people are bad, but what about Clinton? You know, what about Obama? What about Biden? You're saying that because that's what this guy's saying about this guy's doing a turkey pardon, right? Something that you would think would innately be a pretty apolitical thing, right? It's pretty much at its core meant to be like a cavalier little joke, right? It's never meant to be taken seriously. And this guy wants to get on stage and he wants to talk about Joe Biden. He used the auto pen, folks. You know he used it. You know he used it. He went up there and he used the auto pen to finalize the turkey pardon. I've gone back ahead of time and I've now rescinded the turkey pardon. The end point of his speech where he's like, these turkeys, though, they've all been saved. They've all been pardoned. Well, I guess you've kind of evened the tally at that point, right? Because by virtue of you rescinding those other turkeys' pardons, it's kind of actually poetic in a way that this is the video that I ended up landing on, right? Because I was trying to find just some random odd Trump without Trump video. And it just so happened, the only way this could have been more poetic would be if this was on the episode I did last time, covering different presidential pardons throughout American history, right? I feel like that's the only possible way it could be more poetic. Can't even listen in tonight. I'm backstaging with an old friend, and I gotta run out in an hour for 30 minutes. Hope to join you later if the show's on. Cool, Achilles. No, all good, bro. Join in your own time. I understand. Everybody out there, by the way, I feel like it's been just enough time that maybe I'm not in as poor taste to ask this as I would have been at the very beginning of the show. You know, I'm refining my like begging. It's a really important craft to be able to hone, right? Because at the very beginning, I was asking you people for likes right at the very beginning of the show. And that's kind of conceited and arrogant when you think about it, right? It's kind of conceited to be like, hey, I haven't even given you any entertainment yet, but could you like the stream just because it kind of like exists and I've actually managed to get it off the ground? Like, it's a pretty low standard to adhere to. So I really can't blame people if they didn't want to adhere to that. But ladies and gentlemen, we are 10 minutes into the stream. If my channel was monetized, which it's not, Don't worry, we'll be there one day, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get to that. We'll get to that high cliff. If only you can help me by doing things like liking the stream, ladies and gentlemen, then you can contribute and make sure that this channel can thrive. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Much obliged. We got 6 likes up in this bitch. Thank you very much. Much appreciated indeed. All right. With that being said, let's move on, though. Let's replace with our next segment. And our next segment is going to be for everybody out there. Every once in a while on this channel, we've kind of covered AI, right? AI is coming. It's coming for your jobs. It's coming to take your career away. Oh no! It's right around the corner! Stay back! But it's all right. Your fear, while kind of founded, hasn't manifested quite yet. Because we've got some unfortunate robot delivery videos to watch here. A couple examples of the fact that this technology really just quite isn't there yet. You know? You know, credit where credit's due. That thing fucking tanked that. Like, you go back and you watch that shit. Hold on. Like, it's just going out, right? Fucking takes that car. And it's good. Like, yeah, it kind of got knocked aside a little bit. And I guess to its credit, you know, we can't really see the side that's damaged. If it is. But as far as I'm seeing here, there ain't any crumpling going on that thing. That thing fucking tanked that bitch. That's pretty impressive.
I think he can make it. Come on, Juan. He's too scared.
These are some of my favorites. Honestly, there's been a few of these videos that have been released at this point, but some of my favorites are the ones where there's just really no discernible explanation for why it happened. You know, like, it's one thing if its camera just happened not to catch a car that was coming at it at a certain angle or something like that. But goddamn, you know, if it's just sitting there in front of a stairway and it's like, I am now going to go forward, you have to kind of think, as a human being, we kind of anthropomorphize everything around us to an extent, don't we? And as part of that anthropomorphization, you kind of can't help but go, man, that robot just didn't want to keep going, did it? It just kind of had enough. It's had enough. It delivered its final meal. What a shame.
Okay, so this is interesting.
Got saved by like a hair there. It was gonna go out there too. It was gonna go out there. Once again, a little bit more understandable because it's just kind of like wandering around. But still, damn, man. That's rough.
Judy,
That's rough.
Judy on duty. I see you. You're a little stuck. But you on duty?
You know what? Props to Judy though. Props to Judy. Can we just shout out Judy real quick? She out here. It's not a noble job that she's doing, but she's out here doing it. And that trash can, what can you say? It's not our fault that it's in the way. That's just, yeah. I think this one might be one of the most egregious just because, like, This fucking this is a fire truck that's got to get to like a burning building somewhere. And now they've got to put in their report. You know that there's a report somewhere out there now where they had to explain that the building sustained slightly more damage because a fucking robotic delivery vehicle was like, where am I supposed to go? I am confused right now. Oh, I think we actually ended up looping back. We did. Damn it! I wasn't paying proper attention. I'm a shit streamer. I really am, ladies and gentlemen. I've been exposed for the shit streamer that I am. I'm out here trying to make something myself. I can't even pay attention to the fact that the short has just totally been looped over at this point. This next one I wanted to cover was something that I ended up just kind of coming across in my everyday scrolling. I just thought it was egregious because it's one of like the penultimate examples of like consumerism. As far as I'm concerned, like one of the penultimate examples of this notion that like people will just buy this cheap disposable shit and just throw it away the very next moment, you know? I mean, like one of the greatest examples of that, and don't get me wrong, it kind of has like a cultural touchstone at this point. There's kind of like a sacredness, especially in the American cultural zeitgeist. But like the McDonald's Happy Meal, right? Let's face it. I got some good McDonald's Happy Meals as a kid, okay? I did. I was spoiled compared to modern kids. You look at modern fucking McDonald's Happy Meals, dude. Those things are garbage. They're really bad. At least back in the day, you'd get a freaking Happy Meal in like the early 2000s when I was fucking eating McDonald's as a kid in the rare times that we'd be able to like get it, you know? Back when it was actually affordable for the lower class. And you'd get like a little Game Boy thing almost. You'd get like a little game pad that you could like play a little soccer game or something like that on. And even then, let's face it, those things are so fucking cheap and disposable that you throw them out within like a week at the absolute most. If you really liked a McDonald's Happy Meal, and some people collected them, I suppose there's a little bit of merit to that. There were some people that were like, I need to collect all of the McDonald's Happy Meals. Watch it, Aiden. Ronald McDonald might come out from under your bed. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. I am not loving that, Dustin. Let me tell you that. I am not loving that idea. But this thing I'm about to show off is about the same quality of these modern McDonald's Happy Meals, right? And I just think that it's a great example of this cheap consumerist bullshit that's going on right now. Let me just pull that up. There we go.
World's lamest toy. They're called screen breaks, and they're based off of Cobby Lame, who went viral for doing this with his hands. And why are they the lamest toy? Well, every time I've gone to the store for the past 4 months, these things are untouched. No one wants them until today. Are you ready for the most life-changing toy ever?
So you see, like he literally showed it off on the shelves. Nobody's even buying these things because what the hell? They're 10 American dollars. Let's see what you get. Let's see what you get for your $10. By the way, more than the federal minimum wage. So you know that, unfortunately, there's at least one example out there in America of a parent that paid more than an hour's wage for this fucking thing for their kid, only for them to fucking throw it out. Isn't that a tragedy in of itself? Isn't that just kind of a little peek into the absolute fucking hellscape that is modern consumerism? But let's take a look. Let's look at the amazing capabilities of this toy.
Life-changing toy ever? I know all
Wow.
of you jaws are dropped right now. You are so jealous that I own this and you don't. Also, it says you need to be 5 and up, but this thing has potential to be a weapon. Cobby Lame's toy is lame.
And it's hazardous as well. It's got a bunch of sharp plastic pieces. But fucking think about it for a second, right? Seriously. This thing got manufactured, right? Some fucking factory in Shenzhen, China, or something like that. Or Vietnam, or fucking, I don't know, Taiwan, if they really went all out, which I somehow doubt all toys get thrown out. It's true that all toys get thrown out, Phantom, but there's 2 key differences in toys now compared to toys then, right? And I was going to get to this earlier, but the fact that you brought this up now is kind of interesting. Because for one thing, toys were made up to a much higher standard than they are nowadays, right? There was an expectation when a toy was made that you would be able to use it and even pass it down to your children. Do you really think there are many examples nowadays, especially in the current generation? If you look at modern toys, if you look at modern consumer products, right? Do you really think that those things are going to be things that people are going to be fucking passing down to their kids? Hell no. Hell no. You can see over time a marked degradation in quality as time goes on. Toys were cooler when I was a kid. Same here. And you know what? I unfortunately enough, the toys that my dad had when he was a kid were cooler too. Because he had a bunch of like die-cast Transformers. You see Astro Train, right? That's the name of the show. That was one of the ones that he had. Fucking die-cast, made out of metal. That thing, as long as you took proper care of it, is going to be able to last for like at least fucking a century. 100 years, because the quality on it was sufficient that you'd be able to fucking get a lot of time out of it. And that was just one generation ago compared to now. I don't think a single fucking toy, maybe one or two, of all of the toys that I ever had as a kid, because I didn't have a wide selection, mind you, but maybe one or two would have been sufficient quality for me to quote-unquote pass it down. But 90% of the shit, even back then, was totally garbage. And this right here is the penultimate example of what kids nowadays have to fucking play with. And you know what? Can we really fucking blame these kids? There's such a fucking onus on the modern generation, right? There's this idea, oh, these fucking iPad kids, right? These screen-addicted kids, which I do think has a basis in truth, right? I do think there's something to be said about children that do largely grow up bereft of actually having real-world experience nowadays, and they do largely look at their screens. But can you fucking blame them? Honestly, I don't think we can. Because what is the shit that we're fucking giving them? It's this garbage. It's this forgettable, degradable crap that is going to do nothing to actually incite any kind of imaginative thought, that isn't made to be used in a variety of different ways and circumstances that actually promote creativity or critical thinking, which are some of the most critical usages of toys to be given to children, is to express those things, to help build those ideas before they're even put into an official educating environment. And this is the shit that they're getting given. I wonder why they fucking decide to sit in front of an iPad all day instead. It's because we're fucking failing these children as a society. There's no doubt about it. We're giving them a bunch of garbage that they're gonna fucking play with for maybe a day or two, if we're lucky. And then it's gonna end up in a landfill where it's gonna fucking rot for 1,000 years at best. Probably 10 times that amount at the very least. Like, what the fuck? It's so stupid. No, the toys I had as a kid were crap too, except for Lego. I'm telling you, Phantom, maybe I'm just batshit insane, dude. I'm not acting like toys back in the day were always amazing quality. There's always been a gradient, right? I still think that there are cool toys that exist nowadays. I'm sure you could find a few examples of some cool fucking toys that kids can play with. But the thing is, one of the patterns I'm sure you could also find is that the stuff on the cool end of the spectrum has become less and less accessible as time has gone on, right? For the exact same reason why things like owning a home has become less and less accessible. Because the wage that those kids' parents have been being paid has been roughly the same. And the cost of the materials and production and all of those things for all of those goods has skyrocketed, especially given the electronic nature of all of the toys that exist nowadays, or at least the vast majority of them. All the chips inside of those things, they're not fucking free. They're not free. They don't just come out of the fucking ground by themselves. And nowadays, those things are getting more and more expensive. They're becoming less and less accessible. So the vast majority of kids nowadays, more and more of these kids are getting the shit end of the toy bell curve, is kind of what I'm trying to say. Right? As far as the accessibility of these things are concerned. Aiden Linden, I hear you need to just, whatever. Everybody out here in the side chat, I just want to say this right here and now. If you're here for that, fuck off, right? I'm not even joking. I'm not even going to address it by name because it's that not worth my time. What happened happened. People know what happened, and they're going to form their own opinions. I'm not going to make this into a giant drama spectacle. It's not what I'm here for. I'm here to talk about what I want to talk about. So if you want a bunch of drama, then go somewhere else and don't bother me. All right? Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. I'm not trying to be rude, right? Like, I'm not like telling you to go fuck yourself or something like that. I'm just saying that if that's why you're here, go elsewhere. Anyways, let's take a look. Now that I've kind of gotten that out of the way, let's take a look at our next segment, which is going to be... This was submitted... Let me double check. I think this was submitted by one of my viewers. I'm going to go double check that. Was that Dean that sent that to me? It was either Dean or maybe Phantom. It was Phantom that sent this to me. Thank you, Phantom, for sourcing this particular video. So there's this idea, right, that ICE. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we got there. We got to discussing ICE. I know. It inevitably happens. It's all political all the time. Taco is welcome here. Of course he's welcome here. Of course he's welcome here. I would never act like he's not welcome here, Big Bad Mama. He's welcome to be here. I'm just saying that people ought to know what they're getting, right? I don't want people to be sitting around, right? Just going, oh, when is he going to talk about it? When is he going to talk about it? If you're looking for me to talk about it, go watch 2 streams ago. I talked about it there. That's where you'll hear me talk about it. But yeah, this is a perfect example of the idea that immigration customs enforcement is becoming more and more untenable through wider American society. I think the last statistic I saw on this, and people can correct me about this because I don't have it pulled up or anything like that, but it's like 2/3 of America at this point thinks that ICE has overstepped their bounds, has gone too far, right? And that is exemplified in events like this. Oh, I was talking to Dustin. Oh, I got you, Big Bad Mama. Look at me. I'm not looking at the wider chat, and I'm just assuming what you're talking about. I'm committing, like, the cardinal stream sin. Maybe I ought to look into the context myself before I just go making assumptions, huh? But anyways, this is a perfect example of how untenable ICE is becoming in wider American society, because we're at a sporting event here that has nothing to do with politics whatsoever. And what do we hear? Let's hear. And you know, it's shit like that just kind of goes. I'm not trying to like make some like big grand sweeping point with that. I'm just trying to use that to illustrate the idea that it's not just a couple of people, it's not just a couple of radical loonies out there. Or wait, was it all just a giant crowd of domestic terrorists out there? I'm sure that's what it was, right? Just a giant crowd of mujahideen out there ready to go and destroy America. No, it's just an expression of the idea that the majority of Americans at this point are fucking fed up with immigration customs enforcement. And the idea that ICE needs to exist, especially exist in the capacity that it does right now, is complete bullshit. It was formed in 2003. It's not some integral part of American government or American dealings with immigration. America dealt with immigration just fine prior to 2003. And according to the narrative, apparently America was doing worse and worse afterwards, according to Trump. Wasn't that one of the big things that he was running on? Look at the border, folks. The state of the border. It's an absolute joke. People are coming over the border. The amount of illegals that are coming over the border right now is absolutely ridiculous. That was under ICE, wasn't it? So this idea that this organization is just this sacred cow, right? It's this untouchable thing that can't be fucked with in any capacity whatsoever is total bullshit. It can be done away with, and a new organization can be put in its place. And that's just the thing, right? Is that when people always talk about the hyperbolization of the positions that are being articulated over here is so ridiculous, right? Because it's always made out to be that, oh, we just want to destroy everything for just destruction's sake, right? It's almost like anarchy is what's being made out to for us. And it's not true in the slightest. The truth is that we want reform. We don't want destruction. We want the system to be reformed, and we want a different system that is better accounting for things to be put in place. And obviously, we're not advocating for some perfect utopian system, right? We're not advocating that this system is going to be amazing and that it's going to be untouchable and then there's not going to be any flaws, because that's literally never happened once in human history. There's not been this secret sauce for how society ought to be organized, you know? The idea that there's one specific way that everything is just going to work out perfectly just isn't true. At least as far as what history has shown us, there's definitely a degree of circumstance that needs to be brought into things. And with that in mind, we need to take an approach that's more nuanced than just, oh, people want to reform it? No, they just want to destroy it and burn it all down. Either they want to destroy it or they want to keep it exactly how it is. It's such a stupid paradigm, right? Because there's loads of examples of how this current system could be improved, how it could be made better. And I think that that's one of the major things that needs to be brought into the focus, that needs to get, people need to be reminded of, for lack of a better term. Let me get my fucking words together here. People need to be reminded that the vast majority of people on both sides of this argument are not people that want to just completely destroy the system as it currently exists. They want to reform it. Some people want to reform it in a way that betters the common person, and some people want to hollow it out even more from how it currently exists, right? There's not a lot of people. The people that you really find on either extreme are like the anarcho-communists or anarcho-capitalists or people like that just act like fuck everything, or the libertarians, right? Like the hyper-libertarians. Those are the people that often go, okay, fuck everything in society. Let's just tear it down, the anarcho-primitivists, right? Let's just tear everything down and start anew with something completely different. That's such a tiny fringe of the actual discussion. And the idea that that somehow makes up half of it is such a ridiculous hyperbolization, and it's so aggressively unproductive at fostering any kind of real dialogue. Aiden run for president. I'll tell you what, Dustin, I would have just as much validity for running for president as Ted Cruz, because I'm pretty sure Ted Cruz was born right in the city that I'm broadcasting from right now. There you go, everybody. Fun fact, if you want to know where I'm broadcasting from right now, it's not like I haven't already said it plenty of times in the past. Look up, where was Ted Cruz born? And I'm pretty damn sure that I share the sad distinction of being born on the same patch of this blighted dirt ball as Ted Cruz. I think history has shown us that Star Trek is the perfect society, at least until season 6 of DS9. I'll tell you what, Phantom, when I'm actually cultured enough to watch Star Trek, I will definitely get into that. Guys, I've been ignoring the side chat. I've been ignoring the shit out of the side chat. I'm sorry. We got 10 people sitting here contributing in the side chat, being active in the main chat. By the way, for the 10 people watching right now, if you're enjoying the stream, please shoot the stream a like. It'd be much appreciated. We got 8 likes chilling up in here right now. I know that the 2 of you that are holding out right now, you're not holding out because you don't want to like the stream. You're holding out because you felt like I haven't earned that like yet. I know. So I just want you out there in the side chat to tell me what I need to do in order to earn that like. Dustin told me I should campaign for president. You know what I'm going to campaign for, ladies and gentlemen? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to ask for your like. And let me be clear. Obama is definitely the weakest one. I'll tell you what. It's actually kind of fortunate that I'm not under an Obama presidency right now, purely for the fact that my Obama is pretty weak sauce. It's pretty bad. Even when I like really get in the zone and can do him kind of half decently, it's still not as good as like my not even really trying Trump impersonation. Aiden, are you an anarcho-syndicalist? I am not an anarcho-syndicalist. No, I am not. No, I think anarchism as an ideology, right, is extremely naive. I actually agree with the people that articulate the idea that, like, okay, you're going to tear the system down completely, and what are you going to build up in its stead? Like, do you realize how few times in human history a hard reset of a society has really occurred? It's not something that happens every day. Continuity between one society and another is something that people kind of forget about. We kind of draw these very neat dividing lines throughout human history, right? There's the idea that, okay, first there's the Franks, and then the Franks kind of get invaded by the Normans, and then the Franks become medieval French, and then the medieval French become the modern French after the French Revolution and after the postmodern period. So, like, these very neat dividing lines are drawn, whereas in reality, even though Frankish society, as it would have existed in like the 9th century, right, would be basically unrecognizable, or the 10th century would be unrecognizable to somebody in, say, the 19th or 20th century in France. There's still a continuity there. And what I mean by continuity is there's a line that you can clearly draw between each one of them. It's not like there's a sudden collapse. Some of the few times you see a complete and total collapse would be like the Bronze Age collapse would probably be the most prominent example, where several societies just completely fucking fell apart. You know, you've got the Hittites, the Mycenaeans, the Assyrians, I believe, ended up barely holding on to any territory whatsoever. And they're the ones that ended up reaping the rewards from the Bronze Age collapse. They became the Neo-Assyrian Empire. And the Egyptians themselves also barely held on to any territory whatsoever. But yeah, like several prominent societies then completely collapsed and had to start from scratch. And you see that through things like the writing systems of those societies completely resetting, right? The written languages that you see. There's a dark age period in between when the Mycenaeans were writing things down and when the Dorian Greeks were beginning to write things down. And that's when you see the emergence of poets like Homer and a lot of the epics that we associate with some of the earliest Greek histories. And yeah, there's certainly a connection to be made through the fact that they did try to trace their lineage back to the Mycenaeans. But let's face it, the society of Dorian Greece was very different than the society of the Mycenaean period. I mean, look at the way that they dressed. Look at their art. Look at their writing. You know, the fact that we were only recently able to discover one of the forms of their linear script, and we still don't know the other one to this day, goes to show how distinct their language is. Do you think climate change and biodiversity loss will collapse civilization? You know what? I'm not going to show all of my cards, but I do have an episode in the works in the future talking about just that, talking about climate collapse. And that's my little, I'll tell you what, I'll dip a toe in the water and I'll kind of give you just a little bit of a sneak peek on what I'm going to be talking about, right? So I don't think that climate change is a productive term. I think that climate change, while being more productive of a term than something like global warming, right? Global warming is the thing that you always heard back in the day all the time, right? We got to worry about global warming. And people were able to, quote unquote, refute global warming, even though it is technically true. The average temperature of the atmosphere is slowly increasing. Well, not slowly, especially. Slowly in terms of a human lifetime, certainly not slowly in terms of any kind of broader ecological time span, at least compared to the last 3 million years. But anyways, I don't think that climate change is an apt term, because climate change is also something where people can go, oh, the climate ain't changing that bad. Snow is still coming. No, climate collapse is the way that we should be talking about it, because that is what is happening unambiguously around us right now. We're witnessing the largest die-off of species in human history, the Holocene mass extinction event. And that's what I'd be talking about on that episode, climate collapse. And if you want to see the climate collapse episode, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to get those likes up. We still got 8 likes, and we got 9 people watching. I know that you're holding out that like. Come on now, ladies and gentlemen. Can you give it to me? Come on. Please give me the like. I'm holding on to it. All right, I'll get it to you next week. You know I'm good for it. I'm chosen for that like. All right, let's move on to our next topic. I've kind of been milking the time on the stream a little bit. I've only covered like 2 things, and I've got to work at freaking 2 o'clock. So I've got to kind of get a little bit of a move on with things here. I'm not going to be quite as heavy with my commentary moving forward here till we get to our later things. But here's our next piece of content.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Was the 2020 election stolen or was it not? Was it legit?
I'm not sure, but can I ask you a question?
No, that scares me.
Do you think elections can be stolen?
Let me finish my point.
Do you think it's impossible for elections to be stolen?
Of course, but in the United States, Donald Trump then took 60 court cases, 60 cases of election fraud. He lost every single one.
So he went through the
except
courts
one
legally?
After he went through the courts legally, that didn't work. So then he called election officials. He said, can you find me 11,000 votes? After that didn't work, he tried to gather fake electors in 7 states to override the real electors. After that didn't work. January 6th happened. I know everyone's going to side.
This is one of the things that never gets talked about nowadays as well. It's just the sheer level of thoroughness. By the way, not that I have anywhere near the same level of influence as this guy, but Adam Mockler, good content creator. He does really good debates in this scene. Go check him out if you haven't already checked him out. Even if you don't agree with what he says, I think that he makes some really interesting arguments, right? Anyways, that is so true. The fact that Trump tried as desperately as he did to try and get any evidence of election fraud whatsoever in the 2020 election, let's face it, if they had any hard evidence about the 2020 election being fake or being stolen, then they would still be talking about it all the time right now to this day. But they don't talk about it anymore, because it was a talking point that was useful at the moment, that they discarded later on, and now only bring up every once in a while in order to try and make little sniping jabs at the other side, because even they themselves know that it's a bunch of bullshit. Because even they themselves, if they've done even a little bit of research into it, would know that Trump tried to drag it through the courts, and the courts unanimously found that there was no evidence. And after that, he tried doing all the other shit leading directly up to January 6th that this guy talks about. And then I'll go back a little bit in order to reiterate.
Other fake electors in 7 states to override the real electors. After that didn't work. January 6th happened. I know everyone's going to sigh at this, but do you know what was happening inside the Capitol on January 6th?
They were like ratifying or affirming like the election.
Mike Pence was certifying the results of the election.
Thank you.
And what were the people chanting outside? There was a group of people chanting, "Hang Mike Pence."
Okay.
So wait, when Trump, wait, let me finish.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, just because there was a bunch of people trying to get the election completely overturned that went over there and tried to chant "Hang Mike Pence." Who cares about that? Remember the narrative that came out right after this, by the way? Remember the immediate reaction when the notion that this wasn't going to actually go over well kind of died down? It went from a bunch of right-wingers posting that fucking guy with the fucking Viking helmet in like the main Capitol building to, oh, but actually they're a bunch of Antifa though. It was a bunch of Antifa that stole. And when that fell apart, then it became them falling right back to trying to discuss how it was somehow legitimate and how it wasn't them trying to overthrow the results of the election at all. Because they just fucking flip-flop all over the goddamn place. There's no consistency whatsoever. And it's demonstrated in discussions like this.
Sure. Trump said the election was stolen before it even happened. And then he stood on stage when 50% of the votes were counted and said, "I won this election." And then he calls election officials. And then on January 6th, the day they're certifying the vote,
I think I'm getting the point.
Okay, so do you get what I'm saying now?
I think I get what you.
And now I'm sitting in a room of people who don't even know if it was stolen or not.
Second?
Yeah. I don't know if it was stolen or not. I'm not sure whether or not it was even stolen because I haven't gotten updated on that from my supreme leader yet, is basically what it amounts to. Needs to get a bit of reprogramming on that, it kind of seems, doesn't it? Absolutely ridiculous. So, we're going to start looking into a certain individual, as Mr. Brett King would say in the particular situation. We got a man going into places like California by the name of Nick Shirley. This Nick Shirley guy has been trying to make a name for himself recently, trying to expose election fraud within California. So I've got a little bit of a segment lined up here to cover him, because in spite of what people try to say, I'm not just here to talk about Trump. It's not all about Trump. Trump is definitely a component of things. He kind of happens to be the president of the United States. But I invite anybody to go back and look at what I actually covered here today and see how much or little I actually covered Donald John Trump on this particular show. Anyways, let's go on to our next segment. Here it is. Thank you so much. Shout out once again to StreamYards for putting things out of order. Whoop, whoop.
So Nick Shirley went to California to try to go find voter fraud.
California's got some weird things going on.
This time they claimed they found a dog that was registered to vote. You had Elon and all the Republican senators posting about this. This was their big discovery. Except that was already debunked. The woman that registered her dog to vote was literally a registered Republican.
You never hear the retractions from those people either, do you? Like, have you ever once seen people like Elon, like, ever go back and be like, actually, I know that I made a post trying to get a bit of clout about that, but turns out that woman that did that was a registered Republican. Never do that. You never see that, do you? They just kind of quietly move on, just like so many other people. There's so many people in the modern world, aren't there, that just love to say things and then act like there's no possible way for people to go back and double check what they had said after the fact. They just hate accountability. They're like vampires. Light is like accountability to a vampire in comparison to these people. The second that they get held to account, they go, They start melting away. No!
And literally was already charged for this exact same thing. Her ballot was rejected, it did not count, and she was held accountable. Thank you, Nick, for proving that our voting system works. The only fraud that Nick Shirley is exposing is himself. So Nick Shirley went to California to try to go...
Yes, indeed. We're gonna pull up an example of one of Nick Shirley's supporters. Apparently they had a hard time grasping something that most people typically learn about in elementary school, which is how long a person is capable of living for. At least I remember in elementary school being taught about the world's oldest woman that had ever lived. I think she was 121 years old. She was French. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a 121-year-old French woman that's the oldest person that ever lived. I remember learning that in like the fucking like 5th grade or something like that as like a fun fact. And here we go. Apparently Trumpers don't think 100-year-olds exist. We see here C3 tweeting a 100-year-old voter in California. I'm sure that's totally legit. Send Nick Shirley to every state. We have not had a legit election in decades. Like, this is really the best shit that they've got. They've managed to find a person who registered their cat and they were a fucking Republican, not a Democrat, and they found someone that was 100 years old. A totally realistic age for somebody to still be able to get out and vote. Don't get me wrong. You know, somebody that's that old. But I definitely remember that being the case. I definitely remember hearing about people that old still kind of getting out and having some kind of lifestyle for themselves. It's not functionally impossible for somebody that's 100 years old to go and vote. It's just ridiculous. I should put a link in your chat to Nick Shirley merchandise. Oh yeah, are you a big Nick Shirley guy, Dustin? Are you a big Nick Shirley dude? I mean, he's just a joke as far as I'm concerned. Like, I'm not even like mad or triggered at him. He's just kind of like a huckster, right? Like, he's just a charlatan that's trying to provoke a lot of anger out of people. And when you go and actually check the shit that he says, and when people go and confront him in person, by the way, about his dishonest tactics, this is what happens. They didn't even confront him in any kind of like hostile or like violent way. Let's take a look what happens when this guy's actually confronted by somebody on the shit that he's pulling.
He flees in shame after Nick Shirley flees in shame after busting into a Narcotics Anonymous meeting while filming to, quote, investigate fraud. Like, what are we doing here?
We see you. We see you. We want you out of here.
Why does it say restream as if it's a rerun? Oh, that's just the name of the platform, Jolly Boy. Yeah, that's just the name of the platform. Restream is, it's free. And I don't have a lot of money. So I'm getting what I pay for. And instead of, you remember back in the day, I don't know, you're a bit older than me, so you probably don't remember this, right? There was a period in time where every kid wanted to be a YouTube Let's Player. They all wanted to play video games on YouTube and get paid for it, right? And you know what the hallmark of all those kids were? You'd always see something like Bandicam up at the very top of their videos, and you'd be like, oh, okay. This is like some kid in his mom's basement that can't afford any sort of actual streaming software. And I'll have you know, I've graduated to being an adult in a basement that I pay for every single month. With a streaming platform that I can't afford every single month. Thank you very much. Of course, I remember that. Well, good. I'm glad to hear. Yeah, this is the modern equivalent of that. You know, one of the things I remember hearing on your stream the other day was Aiden likes to go and roast a lot of his friends all the time. You know what, dude? You don't know what it's like inside my head, because the person that I roast harder than anybody else is myself. You think I'm not well practiced for a reason? And that's the best thing. When people come at me with all the bullshit that they do, right? They can't say anything that's more offensive to me than I'm capable of making about myself because I know myself. I know the things that get at me worse than anything else. So it's functionally impossible for those people to get at me worse than I am at getting at myself. It's kind of great. People talk about putting on the armor of God. But you know what my version of that is? My armor is like the fucking shit that like a Russian monk, like the fur, like the hair coat that like a Russian monk would wear during Tsarist Imperial Russia, where every time they'd kneel down, it would like dig into their skin. Yeah, you wear that all the damn time. People can't do shit to you. It's functionally impossible. When I see Restream, I didn't think it was a live show. Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. The irony of Aiden accusing people, provoking people to anger when he's sitting here talking shit about Republicans is unpalatable. I mean, hey, dude, I'm not talking quote-unquote shit about Republicans. I'm pointing out their behavior. If I was talking shit, I'd be saying a bunch of shit that was baseless. If I didn't have examples of this shit, right? If I didn't have examples pulled up, then you could go ahead and say I was talking shit, because that'd be a baseless accusation at that point. But I'm not here to just talk a bunch of shit without any sort of fucking source for it whatsoever. That's not what this show's about. So, whatever. Anyways, let's get back to this. I need to play it back from the beginning.
Nick Shirley flees in shame after busting into a Narcotics Anonymous meeting while filming to, quote, investigate fraud. Like, what are we doing here?
We see you. We see you. We want you out of here. I don't want you here making up anything for your social influences to try to attack more people. If you want to see fraud, go to Fells Point, go to Hamden. Stop targeting us. Stop targeting us. It's not about fentanyl, because you could go to the doctors who started the opioid crisis. Why don't you do that? Why don't you go to the source instead of trying to harass the people who are out here just trying to live? Because you have an agenda, and I'm not interested in your agenda. And I'm going to let everybody know that you're here, so nobody will talk to you.
I can't lie, the person filmed.
So yeah, he goes on and does a little bit of commentary afterwards, and he makes a great point. Why are you covering that instead of going to the actual source of the problem and confronting the people there? Why not? Because unfortunately, there's a chronic tendency by people like Nick Shirley to blame the people that are the actual victim. You know the idea of victim blaming? The idea of victim blaming is the concept that you ought blame the person that was victimized by something rather than actually blaming the endemic problem. And there are loads of people, for as much as people want to only talk about the people that got on opioids because they just wanted to get high, which those people exist. Don't get me wrong. Opioid addicts that just wanted to get on it because they just wanted to get high and they didn't care about that. Those people are out there. But let's face it, the vast majority of people in America that got hooked on that shit were people that went in for things like surgery, for things like their knee, or back injuries, and they were medicated it by doctors that pushed it on them and said that it wasn't addictive and not to worry about any of the side effects that occurred, and got a shitload of people fucking hooked on the problem. And are they interested in looking at the actual endemic source of the issue? No, they're not. Clearly they're not. And if there was any base for any of these things that you're talking about serious federal crimes, why hasn't he been charged? What are you talking about? Why hasn't who been charged? Wait, what do you say? Like, can you clarify? I'm sorry, I'm not 100% sure as to what you're talking about there. Why are you talking shit on Republicans instead of attacking Democrats with me? Because, Dustin, you only want to focus on one fucking side. That's why. You only want to focus on one side. And you're probably going to go, oh, that's really rich coming from me. Dude, I'm focusing on the Republicans first and foremost right now because they're in power right now. And secondly, I have no fucking problem whatsoever criticizing the goddamn Democrats for the umpteenth time. You just always do this. You always act like I somehow have like this sacred cow with the Democratic Party and that I don't think that both of them are fucking fundamentally broken and they need to be reformed. right? From the ground up. There's no, like, in their current form, both the Democratic and Republican parties are untenable right now. They are. They're just too hollowed out by corporate interest to be able to actually reflect any real interest of the American people at this point. Okay, that's both of them. Why not, Aiden? As much as all you want to talk about is Republicans, why not you attack? I already read that. Why hasn't, when Donald Trump got hauled into court, how can they didn't get a conviction out of him? The thing that you get convictions out of here mostly are civil crimes. You couldn't even get a criminal conviction out of Eugene Carroll or whoever. Dustin, the point that I'm making is that Trump tried to get the election certified as false, right? He tried to get the 2020 election thrown out. He went to all of these different courts, and not a single one of them validated his rulings. Not a single one of them validated his claims. When he tried to get the 7,000 votes or whichever number it was that he asked for, he couldn't get those either. So January 6th wouldn't have happened if he got either one of those things. He wouldn't have needed to say the things that he did on January 6th and incited the things that he did if he got his way in the courts. So because the courts didn't rule the way that he wanted them to, he decided that he was going to try to go above them. Aiden, you want to reform the direction that men can identify as women? You see, this is what I'm fucking talking about. Dustin, do you realize that that's like fucking 0.1% of the population? Do you realize that that's functionally 0.1% of the population? You want to focus on 0.1% of the population that are transitioning and act like that's the fucking penultimate issue that's going on right now in society. Dustin, I have a newsflash for you. If a dude wants to identify as a woman, that has no fucking bearing on you whatsoever. That has no bearing on you whatsoever. It doesn't affect your life. It doesn't affect your lifestyle. All right? They're going to go and they're going to go do their shit, and you're going to go and you're going to go do your shit. And I'm sure if that fucking trans person started coming in and moralizing to you about how you ought to live your life, and how the way that you live your life isn't in keeping with the way that they wanted it to, I have some kind of fucking feeling that you would have something to say against that. Right? I've just got a little bit of an inkling that that's probably true. Maybe it's just a funny feeling of mine that's just completely unfounded, but that's my honest opinion on that, Dustin. If a trans person came to you and said, "Hey, Dustin, even though you're not bothering me in any way, shape, or form, you're just trying to live your life and go about your business, I don't fucking like what you're doing. You need to change how you are." You wouldn't fucking put up with that shit for a second. Why didn't Biden arrest Trump? I mean, if you're talking about relating to the Epstein stuff, then the reason why is because the DOJ was under the Biden administration a lot more independent than it is under the Trump administration. Trump has unimpeachably had his hand up the DOJ's ass for his entire second term. You know, Biden didn't release the Epstein files because they were still being processed by the Department of Justice at that point in time. And he didn't feel like he could go in and violate the barrier that is supposed to exist. And prior to these presidencies has basically almost always existed between the Department of Justice and the President of the United States of America. I do realize that, Aiden. You want me to bend 1% of the population? You're not bending to anybody, Dustin. That's the thing. Aren't you this big freedom guy? Aren't you this fucking proponent that America is the fucking land of the free and isn't America such a fucking great country? But you don't want somebody to be able to have the freedom to choose whether or not they want to identify as a woman within the context of their own life. Fuck that person's freedom, right, Dustin? That person's freedom may as well just get flushed down the fucking toilet, even though they don't fucking affect your life in any way, shape, or form. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I'm so vehemently against you people when it comes to this shit. Because that's the end result of what you're asking for. You're asking for a certain group of people, a minority within society, to have their freedoms stripped away from them. That's what you're doing. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's unequivocal, Dustin. If I was coming to them asking for money for a surgery, they would have every right to ask me to fuck off. Dustin, show me the part of your tax dollars that got added to some trans person's surgery. I want to see it. I want to see it. I want to see the specific part of your fucking taxes. You don't even have to show me anything else. Show me the specific line in your taxes that shows that your fucking money, personally, went to a trans person's surgery. Because otherwise, I don't want to fucking hear it. I really don't. It's a bunch of special pleading, emotional shit. I couldn't do anything about it when they came up with the automatic weapons ban. What are you talking about, Aiden? What are you talking about? You're just mad that the force is going in the opposite direction. I mean, Dustin, related to that, what do you fucking need an automatic weapon for anyway? That's a totally other topic for a different time. But like, I actually, you know what? I guess I'll clarify that a little bit. If you have a completely clean record for weapon ownership, right? If you have a completely clean record and you can demonstrate that you haven't had any wrongdoing in your past, then okay, fine, fair enough. I think that you should be allowed to own an automatic weapon as long as you don't demonstrate any risk or danger to the wider public. I think that's like probably the furthest I'd be willing to go with it. But any kind of widespread distribution of automatic weaponry really isn't necessary, is it? Like, do we really need that? Do we really need that? You don't want your tax. Show me in your taxes, Dustin, where your tax dollars went to it. I just want to see it. Because otherwise, I just don't believe that any of your money is going to that specifically. I don't think that a single penny of your money has gone to a trans person's surgery. And maybe I'm wrong. I mean, if you can find me stuff that shows otherwise, that isn't Google AI and isn't ChatGPT or something like that. I don't think that that's much of an ask, by the way. If you can find me an actual source, like from the federal government, ideally, that shows that that is the case, then okay, fine, fair enough. We can talk about that going forward, and I'll eat crow on that. By the way, you got this on stream. I'm not going to go back and take this down. Okay? I will absolutely eat crow and say, yeah, I was wrong about that. My bad. Anyways, I'm going to move on. What do you need to do that for anyway? I mean, none of your fucking business, Dustin. None of your business. And that's not even the vast majority. Like, that's just the thing. Like, gender-affirming care is always only made out to just be that by these people. That's all it is. That's the only form of gender-affirming care is just that. And it's a load of bullshit. It's not even true at all. But anyway, I'm going to move on to my next part of my show. If I can find the next part of my show, here it is. It's ready to go. This guy, also really good content creator, way more well-known than me once again. Kind of silly for me to shout him out, but go check him out. Tony Weaver Jr. Makes some good stuff. Let's listen to what he has to say.
They ate Nat Turner. They would never teach you that part.
It gets worse. Eating black people is just one example of the terrible things that happened after lynchings. People don't know this because schools are being forced to remove books about civil rights and slavery, but lynchings were marketed in newspapers as fun events for the whole family. They take pictures with the body and chop off parts to use as souvenirs and trophies, or burn the bodies and put them outside of their towns to make certain people stay away. The last officially recognized lynching happened in Alabama in 1981 and led to the first state arrest.
1981. People think that this happened 100 years ago, but it happened within several people in this community's lifetimes. Not as long ago as people think that it is. Like, maybe that's how I get this message across to people more effectively now. I just add like a little bit of a musical jaunt to it moving forward. I think that's a good way of doing it. That's a good way of doing it.
Arrest for a lynching since 1913. So where are all the people responsible for the lynchings in between? What children did they raise? What laws did they put in place? And wouldn't it be ironic if they said they were tired of hearing about race? Every time you run from history, you give the evils of the past a new opportunity.
They ate Nat Turner.
And that's true, by the way. They 100% did eat Nat Turner. You can go ahead and look into that. I covered Nat Turner on one of the shows forever ago. I forget which stream that was on. I'm not 100% sure. I'm trying to think about it, but it escapes me at the moment. It might have been mods. I'm not sure. But anyways, the next segment that I have here is... Green says Trump's handling of Epstein files is his biggest miscalculation. So The Hill, this is from The Hill. Former Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene sharply criticized the Trump administration's handling of the release of files related to the investigation into convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, calling the saga the, quote, biggest political miscalculation, end quote, of her former ally President Trump's career. The former legislator accused President Trump of fighting, quote, the hardest against the files release in a Saturday episode of the Home of the Brave podcast. Green claimed that the president only signed Congress's Epstein files transparency into law because he had to. Which, by the way, isn't that one of the big things that you heard all the time from different people? Was, oh, they only signed it. Trump is innocent because he signed it into law. He did the Epstein Files Transparency Act, right, guys? That's true. He did do the Epstein Files Transparency Act. But he did that literally because he had to, according to this. So... I mean, whatever. And by the way, Marjorie Taylor Greene, if people want to try and claim that she's an inaccurate source now, I mean, what happened? Why are all these cracks appearing in the Republican Party? Why is it that people like Thomas Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene are starting to break ranks from this guy and starting to say all these things about him? I think they're starting to say all these things and break ranks because they're realizing that they're on a sinking ship. And they want to get out while they have the opportunity to do so. It became a massive political problem. Biggest political miscalculation in Donald Trump's career was calling this a hoax, fighting the release of it, and having Mike Johnson, the speaker, refuse to bring the bill to the floor to the point where Thomas Massey, myself, Nancy Mace, and Lauren Boebert actually had to vote with all the Democrats to get it released, Green told host Owen Schroyer. I think that's Schroyer. Damn, I'm just famously fucking bad with names, aren't I? Joking? What are you joking about? What are you joking about? What are you talking about over there? Show me your hands! Guy in the side chat. What are you talking about? You're just joking. So During her time in Congress, Green supported the bipartisan push for the public release of the Epstein files, led by Reps Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna. The former Georgia representative stood by Massie after Trump attacked the congressman in a Truth Social post this month, accusing his wife of pushing him to adopt leftist policy positions. The president should be more concerned with voters who put him in office, like Thomas Massie's wife. Oh, sorry, this is Trump. The president should be more concerned with voters who put him in office, like Thomas Massie's wife. Not super rich donors and their favorite foreign countries. And, oh no, this is Green. God damn it. Damn it. I'm messing up. Put that in the outtakes, folks. Boop, boop. You can put that one in the outtakes. I refuse to be held accountable. I forget. I guess I must have skipped the part where I said that this is your fault, Dustin. I must have missed the part where I said that, oh, by the way, everybody, this is all Dustin Buck's fault. just in case you were wondering whose fault this is. Paging Dr. Dustin. Paging Dr. Dustin. I just wanted to let you know that this is all actually your fault. Like, no. It's not what this is about at all, dude. I never claimed that this was your fault. Okay? If you want to, like, this is one of the problems, though, with bipartisan voting, right? One of the problems with bipartisan voting, one of the problems with this two-party system, is that there are so many people that feel like they have to emotionally yoke themselves to these people because they gave them their vote. Oh, I voted for this person, therefore every single action that that person does is basically just fucking sacrosanct in my mind, in my worldview. Because if it's not sacrosanct, that somehow reflects negatively on me as a person. No, it doesn't. It actually really doesn't reflect negatively on you as a person, Dustin. I promise you. Okay? You can change your opinion on these people and not be any less of a man or any less thoughtful or anything like that. You don't have to be conned, all right? You're not some idiot that got duped, okay? There's billions and billions of dollars that are put into the campaigns of these people that are made to convince the common person of these things, okay? I'm not acting like you have to be some idiot to believe it. Because that kind of language, once again, is aggressively unproductive, isn't it? It's not going to get anybody anywhere whatsoever. Okay? So, with that in mind, I'm going to keep reading this article. The president should be more concerned with voters who put him in office, like Thomas Massie's wife, not super rich donors and their favorite foreign countries and business demands, Green wrote in a post on the social platform X. Green also attacked all the weak Republicans in the House who did not utter even a word of support for their friend, Thomas Massie. Shame on every one of you, Green wrote. Cowards. You make me sick. Since her retirement from Congress in January, which was spurred on at least in part by her very public break with the president late last year, Green has become increasingly outspoken about her discontent with some of the Trump administration's policies, calling his Make America Great Again campaign slogan all a lie. I think people are realizing it was all a lie. It was a big lie for the people. What MAGA is really serving in this administration, who they're serving, is their big donors, Green said during a Wednesday interview earlier this month with radio personality Kim Iverson. And isn't that true? Isn't that why I've been able to find so many examples of people like farmers going, yeah, I voted for Trump because he said he was going to help me out, and now I feel like he fucked me over. Like, there are countless examples of that happening. So, I think the idea that this is just inherently going to be this is just inherently going to be one side or the other. It's just really stupid, okay? It is, in fact, both sides that are coming to this realization that this current administration is not out here to serve the people. It's not here to benefit the interests of the people. It's here to benefit the interests of a bunch of rich donors. Okay? And if you don't realize that it's here to benefit the interests of a bunch of rich donors at this point, then I think that there's genuinely an argument to be made that you are trying to willfully avail yourself of that reality. Okay. I wouldn't call you an idiot for believing it, but I would call you willfully ignorant for believing it. And those two things are very different. They're very different. Anyways, with that being said, I'm going to get into my next segment. My next segment is... This is from a more local news outlet. We're getting some Canadian representation over here on the Aiden Linden broadcast as far as the news reporting is concerned, which I'm always welcome to. Some U.S. schools cancel class pictures after online claims surrounding Epstein. So, Malakoff? I think that's Malakoff. That's a cool fucking name, by the way. I'm just going to put that out there. What's your name? My name is Malakoff. Like, it sounds like fucking Ivan Drago's, like, trainer or something like that from Rocky. I would 100% believe that Ivan Drago's trainer's name would be Malakoff. But, anyways, Malakoff, Texas. Some school districts in the U.S. dropped plans for class pictures after widespread social media posts linked a billionaire with ties to Jeffrey Epstein to the photography giant Lifetouch, which on Friday called the claims completely false. The disruption to school picture plans in Texas and elsewhere began after online posts linked Lifetouch, which photographs millions of students each year, to the investment fund manager Apollo Global Management. Apollo's former CEO is billionaire investor Leon Black, who met regularly with Epstein and was advised by Epstein on financial matters. Black led the company in 2019 when funds managed by Apollo bought Lifetouch's parent company, Shutterfly. The United States $2.7 billion deal closed in September 2019, a month after Epstein's death by sewer slide, quote unquote, behind bars as he awaited trial over allegations from federal prosecutors that he sexually abused and trafficked dozens of girls. Both Lifetouch and Apollo noted that timeline in statements Friday, 2 days after Lifetouch CEO Ken Murphy said in an Instagram post that neither Black nor any of Apollo's directors or investors ever had any access to Lifetouch photos. They're already really starting to roll it back. They couldn't even look at the photos, guys. I'm not saying whether or not they necessarily were on the island, okay? I'm not saying whether or not they were on the island, but look, they couldn't even see the photos, guys. Come on. What the actual fuck? Jesus. No Lifetouch executives have ever had any relationship or contact with Epstein, and we have never shared student images with any third party, including Apollo, Lifetouch said in its statement Friday. Apollo and its funds also have no role in Lifetouch's daily operations and have no access to student images. The canceled school pictures are another ripple effect over the release of millions of files from the Epstein investigation, including documents showing Epstein's regular contacts with CEOs, journalists, scientists, and prominent politicians long after a 2008 conviction on sex crime charges. In the small Texas town of Malakoff, the local school district canceled a student picture day after several parents told the district they weren't comfortable with Lifetouch photographing their children. I fucking wonder why. Spokesperson Kathleen Smith said in a statement emailed Friday, Several other schools and districts in Texas also canceled or changed plans, as well as a charter school in Arizona, according to Facebook announcements posted from the schools. We decided our students and families would be best served by keeping all of our pictures in-house for the rest of this year, and we're looking at all of our options for the 2026-2027 school year. So yeah, I think that kind of sufficiently covers things. By the way, for everybody out there watching, if you have not liked the live stream, please do like the live stream. It would be much appreciated. Your likes always do help support the show. But with that being said, we're going to move on to our next article. And our next article is Democrat given access to unredacted Epstein files makes bombshell claim about Trump. Liu has alleged that redacted materials from the Epstein files contain information about Trump abusing children. Uh-oh. Oh dear. I'm sure that this just came from some random source though, right? I'm sure that this came from some random nobody. Oh wait, no, it actually didn't. This came from one of the few people that actually has been able to see the total unredacted files. Nah, definitely just a nobody though, right? I'm sure there's some way that we'll be able to fucking throw this one under the rug too, right? I'm sure there's some way we'll be able to shuffle responsibility for all this bullshit off onto somebody else, right? What a joke. The irony of a high school saying that because of a photograph company involved with Epstein of not taking their pictures when half of them have OnlyFans anyways is ridiculous. I mean, Dustin, it's a high school, so no, they don't. Do you recognize how old high schoolers are, Dustin? You realize how old most high schoolers are, right? They've usually graduated 17. Maybe some of them, if they're held back, graduated 18. But the vast majority of people in high school are minors, dude. They don't have OnlyFans accounts. That's fucking out of touch as shit. Like, give me a fucking break, dude. That's not even true. You're just, once again, yet another emotional claim from a guy that wants to argue that I argue from emotion all the time. Give me a break. Anyways, let's get into this a little bit more. On Wednesday, Representative Ted Lieu of California escalated a controversy surrounding the new... let me just get my words together there for a moment. Escalated a controversy surrounding the newly released Jeffrey Epstein files by asserting that the documents contain disturbing allegations involving President Donald Trump and minors. The Trump administration has vehemently denied Liu's claims as having zero credibility. In remarks reported today, Liu claimed that the portion of the files reviewed by select members of Congress contains references to Trump thousands and thousands of times and includes specific allegations that he raped and threatened to kill minors. Just highlight that just really quickly. I wonder why it is that people have been so hesitant, especially the Trump administration has been so hesitant to have these things released. I wonder why it is that even though they've only released 3.5 million of the 6 million files that are supposed to be released, that the Department of Justice is now going back and saying, oh, we're done now. Yep. Guess that's it, everybody. We've done everything that we had to do. Oh, I know, Claude. Don't you worry. Don't you worry, Mr. Balls. I'm going to be covering that in just a moment on this show. That is going to be coming up. But thank you for the sneak peek into what we're going to be doing over here on the Aiden Linden broadcast. We are going to be reviewing that momentarily. But let's look into the actual words that were said by this, because it's important that we get the actual words of Ted Lieu, right? We don't want Ted Lieu to just go, I don't want to say these things on his behalf, is what I'm attempting to say here anyways. So, Let's hear him out. Do I have the volume properly set? I think I do. Cool.
So why are Republicans so interested in Bill and Hillary Clinton? It's because they're trying to distract from the fact that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files thousands and thousands of times. In those files, there's highly disturbing allegations of Donald Trump raping children, of Donald Trump threatening to kill children. So I encourage the press to go look at these allegations, and I'm highly disturbed that Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche just got the law wrong. Yesterday, he said, essentially, that it is not a crime to party with Jeffrey Epstein. Well, that's actually not correct. If Jeffrey Epstein was human trafficking minors for these sex parties, and you show up and patronize the establishment at that party, yes, you're guilty, because patronizing is part of the law, of the federal sex trafficking law. So Deputy General Todd Blanche just got that wrong, which maybe explains why they aren't investigating all these folks, including Donald Trump. He needs to read the law and investigate these people. He also needs to resign, not only for not knowing the law, but a massive, not only screw up, but the biggest privacy violation in history. They release a lot of pictures of minors unredacted, just violated the privacy of these girls.
Oh, okay. Okay. In 2024, an event. Okay, so you want to pull up something from like 2024, which, by the way, that's fine. I'm just pointing out that that's the latest one, apparently, you were able to find. 26 accounts flagged in late 2024. In December 2024, an investigation by the Canadian Open Source Intelligence Center identified 26 OnlyFans accounts that were reported to authorities. And I imagine what the rest of that says is for allegedly having an OnlyFans account for minors, right? But let's go back and actually look at what you said. The irony of a high school saying that because of a photograph companies involved with Epstein of not taking their picture, when half of them have OnlyFans anyways, is ridiculous. If it's half of a high school, Dustin, I'm pretty sure that the typical gender distribution for those things is about 50-50 for men and women, right? It's about 50% men, 50% women. So that being said, you're basically saying that every single high school girl has a fucking OnlyFans account. And in the reality of things, you've now found 26, which, by the way, 26 is still concerning. 26 too fucking many, as far as I'm concerned. I agree that's fucked up, and I agree that shouldn't be happening. But if you're really going to paint that as some endemic issue where every single fucking high school is just filled to the brim with girls that are just out there having an OnlyFans account, dude, aren't you the person that goes after me for quote-unquote only giving a couple of examples? I'm the person that's apparently invalidated because I only give a couple of different examples. But you're able to come out here and cite 26 examples of an undoubtedly horrible thing. Awful, unequivocally. But you want to use that and say, therefore, half of every single high school is just filled with girls that have an OnlyFans account. There's a bit of hyperbole in there, but I think you understand there's a bit of comedic. You know what, dude? If the comedic tone, I'll just walk that back a little bit then and say that, okay, if you were being hyperbolic for comedic effect, it was lost on me in the moment. it was lost on me. Pardon me. I was a little tone deaf then, for sure. My bad as far as that's concerned. Hence the reason that the statement was gender biasedly neutral. Okay. Well, you know what? If that's the case, Dustin, if you're being hyperbolic, fair enough. But let's not act like it's like every single high school girl, though. And even, I know that that's not what you're saying now, but it's not that big of an issue, dude. It's not. And to try and disqualify schools, like, what you're literally doing there is trying to cover for the fact that schools are trying to keep children safe, right? Do you realize that? Like you're saying that, like, I don't know, dude. It's just weird. it just came across as weird. Maybe the tone was just off. And if that's the case, My bad. I'm going to go back a little bit here, though, for context, because I don't want things to be completely disjointed. Let's play a bit more of this.
So, Deputy General Tablan just got that wrong, which maybe explains why they aren't investigating all these folks, including Donald Trump. He needs to read the law and investigate these people. He also needs to resign, not only for not knowing the law, but a massive, not only screw up, but the biggest privacy violation in history. They release a lot of pictures of minors unredacted, just violated the privacy of these girls. It is uncalled for what they did. The one thing that they could not do under this law was to invade the privacy of these women now who were girls at the time who were victims of sex trafficking. Also, he met with Ghislaine Maxwell, moved her to a minimum security prison, and then got a puppy for her. So for all those reasons, he's just got to leave the Department of Justice.
So yeah, I'm not going to, Dustin, for as much as what we're saying right now is important, I'm not going to distract from what is actually being talked about right here. Okay? Right now, ladies and gentlemen, we're living in a point where the President of the United States, there are government officials getting on national television and stating that they've seen files alleging that the President of the United States has raped and threatened to murder minors. Okay? Like, all the political partisan bullshit aside, can we just kind of step back and kind of stand back in awe? And not the good kind of awe. I mean the kind of awe that you feel when you witness a horrific fucking tragedy. Because I don't care what fucking political affiliation you are. The fact that that is even something that has to be alleged travesty. Okay? It is. America as a country is off the fucking rails right now. There's no denying it. There's no equivocating it. This place called America is completely fucking jumping off of the fucking goddamn track as far as I'm concerned. It was my understanding that the students were rejecting the photos, not the school. Well, there was, I mean, I can link you the article, but there was one example of parents citing that, and then there was another example of schools saying that they were going to do it in-house instead. But yeah, I could link that to you. Why? Because somebody's leveling an accusation when none of the What do you mean none of the victims have stepped forward, Dustin? The fuck do you mean none of the victims have stepped forward? They've tried to have their fucking day in court. They're trying to have these fucking people prosecuted, Dustin. You think there hasn't been a fucking effort to have some of these fucking people get prosecuted for this shit? For fuck's sakes, Dustin. Here, you know what? This is the perfect fucking time to pull up the next goddamn segment that I have ready here. Because the next segment that I have here is an example of just fucking that. And it's not even in America. Surprise, surprise. It's not the United States that's holding these people to account. It's not the United States that's prosecuting these people for their wrongdoings or even arresting these people for their wrongdoings, alleged or otherwise. Because guess what? This was one of the main things that was being talked about the other day over on the Proverbs guys, right? It's the idea that every single one of these people that have been alleged in these files should go to fucking court and should have their day in court. You're asking where? It's right in front of you, Dustin. It's literally right in front of you, dude. King Charles says, quote, let me just belch there in the middle of that. Jesus, Aiden, you really do love your fucking timing sometimes, don't you? King Charles says, quote, law must take its course after Andrew Mountbatten Windsor arrested by UK police. Prince Andrew has been arrested. Dustin, Somebody connected to one of the most powerful fucking families in the world has been arrested for this shit, Dustin. And let me tell you, who do you think is in the files more or less? Andrew or Trump? Because I'm going to give you a hint. It's not Andrew. It just fucking straight up goddamn isn't. Okay? So we have an example here of the UK actually holding their fucking leaders to account for what the hell is happening here. Let's read it. The former prince was arrested on suspicions of misconduct in public office. Police are searching his property and have him in custody at an undisclosed location. King Charles, Andrew's brother, says authorities have our full and wholehearted support and cooperation. Andrew's arrest follows scrutiny over his close relationship with Jeffrey Epstein after the release of millions of pages of documents connected to the U.S. investigation of the late convicted sex offender. Mountbatten Windsor has already been cast out of the royal inner circle over his ties to Epstein. He has not been charged and has previously denied all wrongdoing in relation to Epstein. Some London citizens expressed surprise and largely welcomed the news of the arrest of the former prince, though some said that they found that it may not amount to actual charges, which is unfortunately true. Because guess what, Dustin? Even for somebody like Prince Andrew, he was arrested. That's true, Stephen. Agreed. Woohoo, indeed. Absolutely. These people at least have a chance of actually facing some form of justice. Ain't that a good thing? Everybody out there, give a like to, at least to the idea that justice has a chance of being served now, because they're going to now have Andrew at least has a chance of having his day in court now, as opposed to this just being confined to the realm of speculation. Right? So, I don't know. Let's keep going. Let's keep on reading. Keep on reading in the free world. Is that it? Damn it. Oh. Palace sources say there was no advance notice from the police that they would arrive at the King's private Solington estate this morning to arrest Andrew, a man who, for the first 22 years of his life, was second in line to the throne. Yeah, that too, by the way. The fact that he literally got removed as second in line to the throne because he was so fucking goddamn unpopular by the public. He was so unpalatable that he just couldn't be made king. Questions were raised after the latest release of the Epstein files, in which emails appeared to show Andrew shared confidential, sensitive government information, which was potentially market-changing with Epstein. And you know what? Doesn't that just kind of go to show that if he was removed as second in line from the throne, right? I don't think it was super long ago. I think it was within my lifetime. Maybe not. I'd have to get that fact checked. But if indeed that is true, I'm pretty sure they knew at that point at least a fair bit of what Andrew was getting up to, dude. Because, let's face it, if he was made king and all this shit came out, we would have another Charles I situation on our hands, where the monarch of the United Kingdom and the British Commonwealth would be on trial for crimes. And that raises a serious legal question, because there's only one case of precedent for that ever, and that's from the 17th fucking century, right? So the fact that that's from the 17th century and there's only one example of that ever goes to show that even in the modern context, if he got brought to trial for this, it would probably destroy the British monarchy. It would destroy any credibility that it had whatsoever, and it would probably go down in history as a monarchy that just went down in flames and abject shame Like, the House of Windsor would be completely untenable to the British people at that point. So clearly, they got rid of him for a fucking good reason, as far as him being next in line for the throne. I'll give a like if I get a shield. I should have had one a week ago. I'll tell you what, Peter. I'll tell you what. You get your shield. I'm giving it to you right now, my friend. You're getting your shield as we currently speak. Peter, welcome to the Aiden Linden mod squad. It's good company that we keep here. Over on the Aiden Linden network. Anyways, I'm going to read a little bit more here. And then I'm going to go to the next one. I might actually open the panel after this one and do the overview of the next article in an open panel format. So questions were raised after the latest release of the Epstein files, in which emails appear to show Andrew shared confidential, sensitive government information, which was potentially market-changing with Epstein. Detectives will be searching for evidence from hard copies to computer files. If they decide the case is worth pursuing, the police will take this information to the Crown Prosecution Service. They will then decide if it is in the public interest and if there is enough evidence to pursue a charge. For now, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor remains in police custody at an undisclosed location. A suspect can be detained without charge for up to 24 hours, and Thames Valley Police can apply for this detention period to be extended to between 36 and 96 hours for serious crimes. So that's going to be something to watch out for in this case as things progress. Just so that people know, if he gets held for an extended period of time in custody, longer than 24 hours, then that almost certainly means that they have something really fucking serious on this guy. Like, something that is going to be extremely controversial. So, keep an eye out for that. And with that in mind, if a charge of misconduct in public office is deemed appropriate, the suspect appears before a magistrate's court, and it is the magistrate who declares if the person, or decides rather, if that person remains in custody or is released on bail. The ex-prince has always denied any wrongdoing. By the way, anybody out there who wants to go and look at the video that Andrew did, the interview that he did about this whole Epstein thing, there's a lot of major content creators that have covered it. Like JCS Criminal Psychology is one of them. And his coverage of the Andrew interview is absolutely phenomenal because he picks apart just how fucking stunningly full of shit Andrew is over the course of that interview. It's completely unambiguous by the time you're finished that video, unless he is like extremely guilty for no reason whatsoever, or just like, I don't know, try to come up with an explanation for his actions after watching that video, the JCS video about Prince Andrew. It is unequivocal as far as I'm concerned. Aiden, you are the man. Hey, thanks, Steven. I appreciate it. Let's see. Well, where's Andrew living? Who gives a fuck? I don't care where Andrew's living. I care that he got fucking arrested. That's what I care about. Anyways, I'm going to do... Oh boy. I have got to work soon. So I'm going to open the panel now. People are welcome to come on in. Come and express their thoughts, their opinions. And I'm going to start reading an article while I wait for a couple of people to filter onto the stream. Let me just pin that up in this chat. We will give people a chance to filter on in. Now, I know some people are probably wanting me to cover the Proverbs guys drama that took place yesterday between me and a certain Danny boy. But quite frankly, for one thing, it's really not all that important to me. It's good content for sure. Like, I'll be able to make some use out of it, make some hay, so to speak. But I'll do that later, you know? I'll do that another day. I think that'll be a bit more of a fun kind of thing. I wanted today to be a little bit more serious as far as tone was concerned, though, as far as the things that I was covering. Monsieur Buck, welcome to the show. How's it going today, sir? Oh, you're muted.
There it is. Just showing off my labors.
Hey, it's looking good, man. This isn't more old growth that's going to get turned into firewood, is it?
No, if you take a look at these rings, they're not nearly as concentric or tight.
All right. All right.
No, this is probably 50, 60-year-old tree.
It could have been old growth. Not no more.
No. Yeah, it would. Yeah, if it had more time, but not this particular tree. But there's more of it.
Hey, wow, that's lots of tree. Jesus. You think you got enough tree there?
No, there's more over there.
Hold on, let me put you on the full screen here.
Bro, you want me to show you? I'll show you. I'll show you the woodstock. I'll show you all the woodstock, bro. You'd be like, this is what I do.
This is Woodstock 2026, ladies and gentlemen. People always say that Woodstock 1969 was the only good one, but we're at Woodstock 2026. We're checking it out. That's a lot of fucking wood. Holy shit.
Bro, what do you think I do all day?
I mean, more than me, that's for damn sure.
Yeah, there's that over there. I haven't shown you this yet. Okay, and then wait until I get over here. I'll show you the stack. This is before. This is pre-sell, right? And then I'll show you finished product.
Let's check it out.
It's a bit of a
Dustin. Ever since you came on, we got 7 people. They're fascinated. They want to know, Dustin. The people want to know what's going on with your life. Do you have any remarks for the people? Do you have any statements you would like to make to the audience at large?
How come Trump doesn't have a Christy Blasey Ford?
You know what he does have? He's got a weird fucking pussy fold on his neck. Have you seen it?
I have seen that.
It's weird, dude. It's got definition, bro.
That much like a turkey waddle, man. That shows dominance and age.
Oh,
that's the whole idea.
You're gonna make apologism for the nussy now, dude? Okay, it's a free country. Oh, here's the finished product you've been showing off. God damn. So all of that's gonna get processed like this then, yeah?
No, it's all been this is processed wood. The stuff in back is unprocessed. Yeah. No, it's gonna get sold.
Oh, okay. Is it all gonna?
Yeah, this stuff is getting sold.
Or is the stuff in the back gonna get dealt with differently?
Well, it's got to be put through the stock and dry process, and usually takes up to 6 months, especially on the outside. We could cut it down to a month if we put it inside and heated it, but that's a cost it's not feasible considering the amount we handle.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Hey, 10 likes. We got double-digit likes up on this stream. Thank you, Dustin. I will give you credit for getting us 10 likes on this live stream. No, but
I don't know if I deserve all that. No, seriously though, Aiden, like on the real, man. Okay, I mean, can we for a second? I understand evidence doesn't look good, right? But there's lots of court cases where it didn't look good, and on the other end, the guy gets away.
Yeah, right? And I'm not saying that they're definitive. Like, look, let me be clear. I'm not saying that they're definitively guilty. What I'm saying is the fact that we're currently in a paradigm right now where they haven't even been brought to trial for this, and they haven't been given an opportunity to have a grand jury look at it. That is bullshit. That's all I'm saying.
Hold on.
Is that really just let me finish, please?
All right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All I'm trying to say is that they should have their day in court, and they should have a trial. They should have a jury of 12 people look at their case, And those people, once they have all of the evidence given to them, both good and bad, should be able to deliberate and decide whether that person did or did not, in fact, commit those crimes. Is that not reasonable? Go ahead. Oh, he dropped out for a second. Here, go ahead, Dustin. You're back.
Sorry, it dumped me. Look, Aiden, I'm just saying, with all the social pressure, okay, everything set aside, the evidence looks the way it does. Wouldn't one person, you think just one person with connection to a child that ended up missing, or maybe a survivor, or you know, I mean, any number or combination of these things, if there's even a paper trail that would link Trump to some family member who could stand up and say, I was there.
There's been plenty of people that have made those allegations. Do you realize that Trump is literally like in the midst of like a giant sea of legal battles right now?
I also know that there's lots of people.
Let me finish, please. The Trump administration, not just the Trump administration, but Donald Trump personally, throughout his entire life, has literally gone through a giant sea of legal battles, and the majority of those legal battles don't exactly go in his favor. But even that aside, saying, well, nobody's laid any kind of charge yet. How do we even, I don't even know whether or not that's true. I haven't even gone and verified whether or not that's factually accurate. But even if they did, right, even if there was charges laid against Donald Trump, whether or not he gets indicted for those charges is ultimately what's important, because people like Hillary Clinton got charged for plenty of shit, and I'm sure Hillary Clinton did plenty of awful shit with all of the fucking drone strikes that she ordered over her cell phone, like she was ordering fucking Domino's pizza. Like,
do you want to know a sad truth?
But hold on, same thing with the servers as well, right? All of her emails on the fucking private servers, she got charged for those things, but she never got indicted. So I'm sure Trump has been charged for plenty of things, but he has not been indicted. And I'm sure you would agree with me, Hillary Clinton was guilty for the things that she did, even if she was never indicted. Like, the idea that somebody hasn't been indicted for something therefore means that they didn't do it, I just don't agree with at all, because I vehemently think that Hillary should have been indicted for the things that she did. But she fucking wasn't. Even when Trump was making that a major promise on the campaign trail, by the way, he was the guy that was doing the whole lock her up shit, wasn't he? Wasn't one of the big things, the big moment in the 2016 campaign was when they were on the campaign trail.
You're moving away from the original point. You're just slowly walking it away.
No, I'm not, because it ties back to what I was saying earlier, which is the fact that if somebody is charged for something, even if it's almost certainly true that they did something wrong, like Hillary, that doesn't mean that they're going to get indicted for it. Plenty of people walk away from doing horrible shit.
Yes, but there's more than one court, Aiden. There's more than one court. Okay, there's multiple courts. There's one court in particular. It's called the Court of Public Opinion. And if you're telling me that a victim or a family of a victim wouldn't work that angle, right, that there would have to be some form of independent cooperation. I'm telling you, the fact that that hasn't happened, that there isn't a Christy Blasey Ford saying sometime in the past, I don't remember where, I don't remember when, this man did something bad to me. I mean, if they can get away with it with a Supreme Court justice, I don't understand what's stopping them with Trump. They should be able to find somebody to make these claims.
I mean,
why not, Aiden?
Dustin, are you familiar with what happened recently with the Pam Bondi hearing? Are you familiar with what happened?
What about how they were making claims about the Jeffrey Epstein file? Aiden, I'm telling you
about how there was literally a fucking big group of people that were fucking victims of him.
Yeah, because she wouldn't look at him.
And
she wouldn't look at him.
Look them in the face.
Well, I wouldn't have looked at him either if I was in that position. It would have been stupid. Wow. It would have been a tacit admission of guilt. It would have been dumb.
Admission of guilt. Fuck off.
That's exactly what that would have been. That's exactly how it would have been.
Yeah,
I mean, look, I am not happy with the performance. I am not happy with the performance of Pam Bondi.
Do you realize what you're doing right now, Dustin? You're trying to make justification for the idea.
I am not.
Yes, you are. That's what you're doing right now. You're making justification for the idea that the Attorney General of the United States of America wasn't able to look a bunch of fucking sex trafficking survivors in the face when they were standing right behind her. That's what you're defending right now, dude.
No, I'm not defending it. I don't like it either. But I'm telling you straight across the board, if I was in that position, I wouldn't have looked either. I'm not defending it. I'm telling you what I would have done, because it would have been stupid to do so. It's not a defense, Aiden. Matter of fact, I'm even convicting her of it. It's not the point, though. You're missing the bigger picture. Why is there no Christy Blasey Ford for Trump?
Well, I was gonna review.
Can't answer the question, can you?
I haven't looked. Well, first of all, I don't know directly what you're talking about right now, and secondly, I've got half an hour before I've got to start work here, so I probably got to start packing things up as far as the stream is concerned. But that's not to say that I'm running. By the way, I'm not gonna try to say.
I don't think you're running. I know better than to make the claim that you're running, Aiden. I know better than that. Okay, I'm not going to say that. I don't think you're going to find any clip of me ever saying that either.
No, I know. I'm just clarifying for the sake of clarification that I'm not trying to pull a run. And if you want to send me some stuff on that while in between shows here, because I'm sure I'll do another show here in the near future, I'm sure we could talk about that and follow up on that. I would be interested in doing so. But I've got to get packed up here and get ready for work, so... And with that being said, thank you for joining the show, Dustin. I appreciate it.
No problem. Good to see you.
Trump is a tool, a high-ranking tool. I agree with that, Stephen. He's definitely the tool of a broader establishment.
Stephen, your mayor gargles the balls of the tool that I'm using to make you look stupid right now. Just shut up.
Anyways, with that being said, have a good one, everybody.
Catch you later, boss.